Welcome back to this B2B Bytes video with me, Lance Owide, the General Manager of B2B here at BigCommerce, and I'm joined by Kurt Anderson. Kurt is a manufacturing evangelist. He works with the manufacturing extension partnerships here in the US and runs 2 B2B consulting agencies. Today, we're going to be hitting on a particularly interesting topic: building trust with your customers through video strategies. Kurt is an absolute legend at building this video content, and we're going to talk through that with him today. So, Kurt, I want to start. Why is video content, live streaming, why is it becoming so important for manufacturers? I think of that as being useful for retail, but why are manufacturers getting into this space today?
Boy, great question, Lance. And, we could spend all day on that. It's just, there's so much value that video provides for manufacturers. Again, what we love to, share with manufacturers, especially we found out during COVID, it's not easy to go cross country, visit other folks. Maybe you're doing business overseas. And what we encourage them to think about is like, hey, how can you invite that ideal buyer into your facility without having to jump in the car or get on a plane? And there's no better way to do that than by video. If you and your wife go on this wonderful, magical vacation and you describe it to me, hey, that's great, I can use my imagination. But man, when you break out the pictures, or better yet, you show me videos, now I feel like I was there. I'm like, man, I couldn't go on that trip, Lance. Thank you for sharing that with me. And it's the same concept, right? I have a little blog post I put out, like, how do you treat your facility, your manufacturing facility, like a 5-star resort? And you're like, hey, wait a minute, we're kind of greasy, dirty. Well, that's what your customer is expecting. You're a manufacturer, right? Not that we're all, there's a lot of clean manufacturers out there, of course, but boy, what video does, you can show off your products, you can show off your machinery, your equipment, your staff. There's just so many benefits, and we can dig deeper here, but there's just enormous amount of benefits for manufacturers plunging into video.
I love that. So a picture speaks 1,000 words, a video 1,000,000 plus, and that is what you're getting when you prepare video content. You're getting 1,000,000 words in front of your customers. So in your experience, what content works well? What's engaging for a customer to see and watch?
Again, if you're just catching this one first, go back and catch our one about SEO. Tagline that we love to share with our manufacturers: how do you out-teach the competition? Okay. And so many manufacturers that we work with, we'll talk and like, oh, well, our clients know this, or they understand that. And like, boy, it's such a dangerous assumption that our customers know your product the way you do. You eat, drink, breathe, and sleep this. Maybe grandma and grandpa had founded your company. You've been doing this since you were 9 years old, or maybe you're new to it. But think about that engineer. The engineer might be the expert of like an OEM product or a completed engine or whatever the product, whatever the finished good might be. And you're the expert on one little nugget on that big piece. And that engineer doesn't know every single component inside and out. They just know what it does for the final result. But boy, you know that product better. You know the size, you know the dimension, you know all that information. If now you're the best kept secret if you don't put it out there. So how-to videos are just phenomenal. If you're a manufacturer, man, we are all geeks about machinery. If you go on YouTube and you pull up like a surface mount machine for circuit boards, they have like hundreds of thousands of views, and it's just the machine populating parts on a circuit board. Show off your amazing, incredible equipment. If you have a great engineer on team, you have an amazing Hall of Fame team that you've hired that's part of your staff. Boy, don't be the best kept secret. Let them be those subject matter experts. Talk about their passion, their energy, their expertise on how they come in, day out, and just dedicate themselves to putting out great product for your company. And we could go on and on, but that's just a scratching the surface of what a manufacturer could do.
I love that. You're a subject matter expert. Educate your customers, but also tell the stories of your employees. Your customers want to hear it. And that's such great advice. If I'm a B2B business and I'm thinking I need to start building video content, how do I go about it? How should I even start? What tools do I need? I've never done this before. I'm nervous. How would you go about it? What advice do you have?
Phone. I would just use a phone. Just break out your phone. You know, a lot of people are overwhelmed. They're intimidated. They're like, oh, do we need, super expensive equipment? In my opinion, Scrappy, my nickname is Scrappy for just like, trying to do things as efficiently and effectively, cost effectively as possible. You don't need high-end equipment. Now, of course, if you're selling, $1 million pieces of equipment, or, you're trying to show your brand represents that, yeah, bring in a high-level video marketing team. We have subject matter experts in that space. We could certainly, refer you to. But if you're just like, hey, you know what? I just want to get something going. Boy, break out your phone, man. Authenticity is just key. If you're a manufacturer, here's a perfect example, man. So we just did a video interview with there's two sisters, women business owned, took over. Father passed away, unfortunately. Two daughters took over the company. Painful introverts, super camera shy. They're beautiful individuals, beautiful on the inside, beautiful on the outside. And they came on our live stream show. They can't get on video enough. And they shared a story with me yesterday on how they're in Chicagoland, and they were talking about how critical it is being in Chicago because they had no supply chain disruptions during COVID. Let me say that again. They had no supply chain disruptions during COVID because they had a great network in Chicagoland to help produce their products. They go to one of their paint supply. They do powder coating on steel, and she went to visit her supplier. He said, you know what? I want to share something with you that I found. He found her father's business card from the 90s and started sharing stories about her dad. She was like getting emotional. She was choked up. That's a great, powerful origin story. I don't know that if I just go to her website. I don't know that if I haven't met them. But now to have that video of her sharing her dad's business cards, he started this company in the 70s. This is a vendor that he did business with in the 90s, and he hung on to her dad's business card. That's a great, powerful story. That's how you build trust and get those relationships going.
Wow, that's fantastic. So educate, tell real life human stories so you can build that connection, you can build that trust, you can build that loyalty. I think the next question that the businesses out there would want to know is, where do I put this content? Where am I hosting it? How do I build it into my traditional marketing? How should they think about that?
Yeah, great question. So there's, we talked earlier about, again, go back to our SEO video, but we talked about knowing and understanding that ideal buyer, right? Who's that ideal customer? Where are they hanging out at, right? Lance, if we're like, oh boy, there's a ton of manufacturers looking for e-commerce in the room next door, like, you and I would be sprinting over to that room, like, hey, let's get the party started, right? Your customers are hanging out online in the B2B space, most likely LinkedIn, right? YouTube, Google business profile. We can talk about that from a search standpoint. So, think about if you're targeting, I have a teenage daughter, if you're targeting teenagers, maybe you're on, TikTok or whatever, but meet your customers where they are. Okay. For, what we found with our customers, they love LinkedIn, they love YouTube, they love doing live stream interviews. I had the honor and privilege of having you in our show. We did a wonderful, just a dynamic case study. It was a wonderful BigCommerce success story with a company called Styco. And dude, remember how what a great, powerful story that was? This is a company that manufactures covert antennas, and they were showing us products that came out of post 9/11. And with all the tragedy of 9/11, and there was just a lot of communication challenges that day, they took that tragedy and turned it into a blessing. And they now have products that would hope God forbid, we have a tragedy like that, but say it's a natural disaster, a hurricane, what have you. There are now products available for communication. And you and I heard that first and foremost. And now they're sharing that on YouTube. They're sharing that on LinkedIn. They have it on their website. They have it on a blog. And so they're getting that message out with authenticity and just sharing their expertise and how they're making the world a better place.
Yeah. That was Styco is a fantastic example of a great BigCommerce merchant who's doing just magnificent things out there through manufacturing. You mentioned something there about having video content on the website. I always think that's very, very interesting, and a very interesting way to get potentially very complex product information over to a buyer, to a customer in a very succinct manner. Do you see lots of manufacturers doing that, putting video explanations with their teams on there directly into their websites?
Boy, I know, I could geek out hard on this one. So, what I encourage for OEMs, I encourage have a video on every single product page. I don't care what it is or how many SKUs you have. I started doing this if you go back in 2006, you can find when YouTube started with my e-commerce company, you can go back and find videos from 2006, and they now have probably millions of views over this course of time. But every single product, because it helps that customer make a buying decision at midnight on Friday night at midnight without having to wait for you to open up your doors. Number one, it's great for SEO and it's great for building that trust. Okay, number one. Number two, you and I love talking about configurators. I won't hit that too hard. What's a configurator? Having a customer come on your website and building your product. I have a client that has this wonderful dynamic configurator. It's completely been a game changer for their business. And we have a video on every single step of that configurator. Hey, if you're stuck, click this button. This is how you do this page. So we could go on and on about how-tos, product. Last thing I'll share is, there's almost like, I'm starting to see, we're doing a ton of live streaming. There's almost like a little QVC component going on here. For those of you who are familiar with QVC, where manufacturers are now showing their B2B product. Hey, this is not for consumer to buy, but on a B2B space, they're like, this is our product. We're doing an interview this afternoon with a client doing the exact same thing. Here's our product. Here's the size. Here's the dimension. Here's what it looks like. Here's the components. Here's what you can do with it. And it's simplifying that buying process for that customer. So as you can tell, I'm super passionate about this. It can go on and on and on. And one of my favorite words is free. Time is not free. Time is money. But boy, get out that iPhone, get out your cell phone. Just get in the game. Just get in the video game and you will thank us later.
I love that. Start now. Get your phone out. Start taking those videos. QVC for B2B. I like that. Maybe we can coin that term and start it. The kids are doing it on TikTok and we're doing it on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Kurt, for joining us today to discuss video content for B2B. This has been a B2B Bytes video from BigCommerce. Please check out the rest of the series.